So in this video, I'm here with Parker Hayes with Ghost Town Outfitters, and we are talking about reselling vintage clothing and what Parker has got going on here and what exactly is he doing in the reseller life, kind of going through the day-to-day, what he's sourcing, how he's sourcing, and what he's going to be doing looking towards the future. So Parker, can you just get right into it? How have things been going with your retail space here? It's filling up, it's looking beautiful. What's kind of things been kind of looking like? You've been open for what, 3 months now? Kind of give us a brief look at the day in the life of a vintage reseller.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Super happy to be here. Man, this space it's really kind of popped off. It's been really cool. And, again, there's so many unexpected things because I really was not expecting to ever do a retail space. So much of what I'm doing right now is really paying attention, listening. I'm looking at what people are wearing. I'm looking at what is headed out the door, so I can make better decisions in terms of what I keep, at the end of the week, or what I might source and kind of, seed some of the shelves with. But the first thing that I really want to do, as you noticed, I do have a lot more rack space in here, which that was an adaptation that I started to implement because so many people just sort of wanted to look at the floor. But immediately, the number one thing that people always ask me is, can I step on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you can step on it. And I'm still waiting for somebody to fall asleep in it and jump out at night and scare me while I'm here. That hasn't happened yet. But yeah, a lot of it is just that adaptation. And right now, adding the additional rack space in here has been fantastic because I've seen some, when you look at the total sales for the day, so many of those sort of like single digit sales have now turned into double digit sales, and that's really what you want to see is just more consistently. If you can add that extra dollar, $2 on there, and I hate to say that having some sort of upsale is important, but it is even as you've experienced with eBay, being able to bundle things for people drives a lot of traffic.
He's been going for about 3 months now, and I was just here the other day, and it was like pretty constant foot traffic. The word is spreading, and I just want to make a side note. Like, if you're in the Eugene area or you're anywhere in Oregon, come by Ghost Town Outfitters. It's Tie-In Street. What's the address?
1040 tie-in. It's a 1040 tie-in.
1040 Tie-In, and not only for just resellers, but if you're looking for some clothing that you're trying to avoid the high-priced thrift stores or even malls that are charging $45 for a t-shirt, come by and you can see what Parker has. He's kind of curating to like the trends and what's going on. So for a very reasonable price, you're not charging $25 for a pair of Wranglers, and he's going to work with you on price. And if you are a reseller, also come in because he's going to give you a better deal as you buy more items. And what I'm seeing here is just a great sense of expansion. Ever since you started just a few months ago, you're getting phone calls about people just randomly calling you and going, hey, do you accept donations? Hey, are you going to come pick up these donations? More inquiries. So I'm seeing the trend of people like not wanting to give to big corporate Goodwill, big corporate St. Vinny's, and supporting the people that are actually trying to make a difference. Like, he gives away free kids clothes. He sells items for $1. It's more of a micro bins type of style. Yeah. So, if you are in Oregon, come by. But also reach out to him, via social media. It will also be linked in the description down below where you can get a hold of him, and he might be able to curate some kind of wholesale box for you at a very good price. So that's something you're going to reach out to him because he is very busy. So now can you talk about like some sourcing methods? Maybe some people are trying to find alternative ways to source, like not at thrift stores, not at the Goodwill outlet. What kind of avenues have you been taking, and what would you suggest someone who may be just starting out as a reseller, what should they do different that most people aren't doing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you and I were actually talking about this a little bit earlier, and I think that when everybody seems to be running that way, you kind of want to run that way. And the beauty of doing that is that people have a tendency to, I mean, it's just like with the stock market, right? Where something is happening, they see it going like this, the fear of missing out, they all want to jump in, and then they'll leave the perfectly good stuff, kind of behind. So that's the beauty of this type of a job, is that there are so many avenues that you can get into. And what I would say, is really vitally important. And of course, this is based on your aesthetic and your tolerance, I guess, for say clean versus maybe a little bit cruddy.
Yeah.
There are some amazing things that you can get into. I am not in any way gonna hesitate to go, if I see clothing hanging out of a dumpster, I'm gonna pull them out. Like, that's all there is to it, and I'm gonna wash them, and I'm gonna add value to what I found.
Yep.
Exhibit A. Let's enter into the record.
Yes.
This.
Here, I'll hold it.
Here, would you please? This is a stunning pair of Wrangler Riggs workwear pants. Where this is a indigo blue, and they appear to be in mint condition. Bo, would you say they're in mint condition?
Yeah. Minor flaws, light signs of stain.
Yeah, light signs. I think that the main issue with these is that they're absolutely sopping wet.
Yeah.
There's probably a good quart of water probably embedded into the fabric. So,
Included.
we could include that if you would like, or we'll take them home, wash them up, and that's about a $12 pair of pants right there.
Yep.
And somebody had just left that in the dumpster, right? So sourcing method.
Yeah.
So you can do that, of course. Aside from that, I also love and have here. I can take that over if you'd like. Thank you so much. Historically, I have found a lot of things in abandoned houses. We also have a huge housing crisis right now, and not that we ever want to capitalize on the hard times that people are going through, but if you know people who are, say, real estate investors, I have a friend of mine in town, and he is always moving people in and out of apartments, and so I communicate with him, and when there's tenants leave stuff in the units, which frequently happens, you can tell, your friend or the person that hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, and most of the time they just want to get rid of it. And so that's a really, good underrated possibility. And then, lastly, one other way that, you could consider, because we were talking about this today, everything's gone digital, everything has gone online, everything has gone to these various platforms, Facebook Marketplace, your Meta, type stuff to get a hold of people. But depending on what you're doing, there is a huge group of people who are still reading the newspaper. They're still listening to the radio. They're still doing all these very old school analog things. And the price of many of these types of advertising have also gone down. So there is some possibility there. There is one person that I was looking at some of their content earlier, and they were able to source a huge amount of vintage Converse shoes from one person because they heard a radio ad that they had placed. So that's another possibility.
Yeah. So those things that you don't see really on YouTube and you don't see being talked about so much, like abandoned houses, what? You never think that would be a thing, but it's very true. Especially if you're just starting out, you might not have a lot of money to work with. You might not have $5,000 to go buy, raising your cost of goods to go buy those expensive thrift items. So doing things like Facebook ads, radio ads, I know that sounds crazy, who listens to the radio, but the conversion rate for that type of stuff is you're reaching to a demographic of an older generation that still does the same thing over and over again. And I was quoted a radio ad where it was $100 a month at one of the popular radio channels here in Eugene, and they play your ad. It's every 15 minutes your ad plays. And it's some guy with a voiceover. Hey, come on down to Ghost Town Outfitters, where and getting that. I'll deep fake that in with John Travolta's voice. But no, it's doing those things. You may need to think about, maybe I want to start. We all need, if you are looking to own a business and start a reselling business, you need to think about, how am I going to market my business? Because it's really hard to sell items, or sell what you're wanting, your brand or your business without doing any advertising. This is why I promote all of my items on eBay at 10% because it's a very saturated category with clothing on eBay. And if I did not promote, I would get far less sales. So you need to start figuring out the mindset of like, well, how can I promote my sourcing business? Maybe I'm going to start a junk removal service. Maybe I'm going to start a pickup service. Some things like that where you can expand upon your sourcing. Doing those extra things is going to get you ahead, give you a competitive edge over the competition.
That's right.
And thinking about new ways. Going back to the pants here, I know it's a silly story, but to economize, the definition of that is to make the most out of the least. So something that was just thrown away, sitting on top of a recycle bin, can now be put back in. This was going to go into a landfill, it was going in the trash. Now it can be actually put into the economy where someone will pay 10, 12 bucks plus shipping for those pair of jeans. But I know it's nothing crazy, but that's what economize means, and that's what you're doing as a reseller. You're taking things that are literally someone saw, said this is trash, this is junk, but you are taking something and economizing it. You're making the most out of the least, bringing value into the economy, and really building a business. If you have employees or plan on having employees, you are actually supporting them and their families. Like you, Parker, you are providing families with low-cost clothing, free kids' clothes. You're really putting value into the economy, and money can't help itself. It's attracted to that. It's attracted to the management of those resources. What does it take to run this type of business? It's unique. You have kind of a retail side, but we're actually sitting right in the middle of where the bales get broken up, and it's kind of like a bin style free-for-all digging contest. But what all goes into that? You're open about 5 days a week. What do? You're open at 12 to 8, so how does that look? Are you, meeting with people as they come in? You're kind of showing them around. What does a day in the life look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about guts. It's about grit. It's about tenacity, determination.
Yeah.
There's a lot of charts and graphs. No, it's,
Cut that in.
it's so much about customer engagement. This is actually the thing that I have found more than anything.
Yeah.
And people really truly just want to have an organic experience with another human being.
Real, yeah.
So I open up the door and I give them a smile, and I try to let them know with my with my actions that they are valuable and that they are welcome here. And just that alone is so big.
Yeah,
it's
for
so
sure.
big, and most people, they may have gone a week since the last time that actually happened.
Absolutely.
So I think that the newest thing, which is actually kind of the oldest thing, but it's coming back around, and again, this is a conversation we had before with on the advent of AI and all of these other things, where it's taking the authenticity out of existence. It's making everything cheap. It's making everything move very, very quick, and you can't tell the difference between what somebody did and what a computer did. This is where we're at now. So when people can come into a space and just have an authentic experience, authenticity, I think, is a new currency.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it used to just be old, like that was a thing that you just did. So my day to day is a lot of sort of curating the space, making sure that the racks are looking full, and I'm pricing, and I'm keeping the prices down. But so much of it is banter. It's a lot of being really honest with people, letting them know hey, you look really great in that thing that you chose, great job, or hey, I would actually maybe do this, or kind of help them out, a little bit with what the outfit that they're building or something like that. So really, that is so much of it. And I was fortunate in that I actually did quite a few years as sort of a management position in a retail store. So as far as the back end, counting everything down and making sure that I got kind of the paperwork in order and stuff like that I'd been doing for a long time. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff. And, and then other than that, as I'm sure we'll probably put some B-roll in here, it's a lot of, just sort of mopping up afterwards.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, that's my biggest thing. That's what I go into with everything every day is just being authentic. But, like a lot of you might be saying to yourselves, well, if I'm selling online,
Yeah.
how does authenticity have to have
Right.
anything to do with what I'm doing? Let me explain. It's very important. And here's why. Because you're not void of customer service.
Yeah.
You're still in customer service. There's just not generally a face that goes along with it. And I cannot tell you how many times I have kept the sale, made money in a way that I had not expected to make it,
Yeah.
thought that the sale that I had done was an absolute failure, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to return,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And then not only did I keep the money, but then it also turned into a secondary sale subsequently
Yeah.
after that, because I used good customer service that was authentic and treated them fairly. So going at it with that mindset,
Yeah.
even online, is super vital. But also when you're outsourcing,
Yeah.
when you treat people the way that you want to be treated, ultimately going out into the field with an open heart
Yeah.
and and a mindset of love for the person that you're meeting, it also attracts the items that you're looking for,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
creates a vacuum, and those items go, no, I'm going to go over there now. And so it begins to create the symbiotic relationship where you are now blessed beyond your wildest dreams because you're taking care of other people.
Yeah.
And that's a part of my ethos and belief system, but it works, and I can tell you it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for most of the viewers, reselling online, you may seem like, oh, I don't know this person. I'm just going to treat them like every other person. But in my experience, when you do make a mistake or you do get a return, if you go in with that conversation with love and compassion and doing everything to make it right, you're probably gonna get a lifelong customer where they saw that they were treated like no one else has treated them, and especially for me, I sell common items. I'm not attached to my items. I'm not selling brand new PlayStations. I'm not selling bars of gold. So for me, I'm just going to do whatever it takes to really make sure that the customer is satisfied with their item. And if there is a mistake, I'm going to do whatever it takes to refund them the money. They can keep the item and go all in on just believing in the love and compassion that people really need. First of all, they came to your website, they came to your store, they made a purchase, and now how can I complete that, the circle of the transaction? And you don't know what people are going through. So here, it's more of a brick and mortar type of, you're seeing a lot of faces, you don't know what people are going through. So just a simple smile and a conversation can really make someone's day. And I try to take that perspective. Well, how can I do that online where I don't know what people are going through? I'm not going to act like a jerk. I'm not going to be mean. I'm just going to try to I'm going to be a representative for my business. Where do you see the business going, like as far as the future for wholesale, retail? Do you see yourself expanding with your brick and mortar store? Kind of like, where do you see the growth in 6 months to a year?
Sure. Many well, see, I'm trying to have a fully well-rounded experience, so it's been totally focused on clothing. But one of the things that I never expected, that I think is really wild, is art. How much people want artwork, and I'm seeing a hole in affordably priced artwork because everybody wants to put artwork in their house, and this is something that you could look out for if you have a resource for it. If you're doing something where there's traffic of some variety where you can offer these types of things. It seems kind of funny, but much of the artwork at thrift stores is signed. It's beautifully framed. You've got all kinds of stuff going on that makes it a highly sellable item, right? So more artwork is going to be really, really a big one. Jewelry, a lot of handmade jewelry. Some people who are excellent crafters of jewelry.
Nice.
And then home goods, along kind of with the artwork. So I plan on expanding into unique dishes and unique pieces of furniture
For sure.
and things like that just kind of make a whole complete picture of what people are looking for home. So it's like from the kitchen to the living room to the bathroom to the bedroom to the closet, whatever it is. If they need a blanket and they need a weird coffee mug, that's got Alf on it from the 80s, and then they need this.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, yeah. This is or is it Bob Dylan or is it Martin Luther King? I'm not.
Looks like Jesus.
It's. I think that it could be Jesus. Well, he's been dubbed Saint Hobo, and he watches over the shop for us when we're not here.
Things like that.
Yep. You can find little doohickeys like that, and that is just going to add value to people because not only do they know that they can come and get inexpensive clothing, but they can also kind of deck out their house and make it beautiful or unique in the way that they want to.
Yeah.
And again, they don't have to break the bank to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's totally different, when you're opening a brick and mortar store, and when you're doing eBay or Poshmark, there are everything sellers, but there comes to like downsides for doing that online, where if you did it in a brick and mortar, you don't have to worry about shipping. You probably don't have to worry about any return policies or it breaking in the mail. So that's the beauty of if you had the idea of doing some kind of brick and mortar store where it's different, vintage, and you have an eye for things that do have value. Like Parker has a bunch of artwork on the wall. He's not buying all artwork. He's just finding the stuff that's going to be more on trend, that's more sometimes funny. There's funny pictures of dogs up here that look kind of crazy and haunted. But so that's kind of the thing is like, you never know where you're being led in your reseller life, and maybe you do have the itch of like, I do see myself doing some type of brick and mortar store and reselling on the side. So maybe start to think down the road like, hey, that's something I'm going to try, give it a shot, and it seems to be working out pretty nice here. And the thing why we're bringing this up is like I'm hearing a lot of chatter about thrift stores just being so expensive. Like no one goes to the thrift stores because they're just too expensive. They're overpricing. And now, well, maybe you can get in between that relationship from the customer to the business and maybe undercut a lot of them because there's a lot of money to be made in there. And when things aren't selling at the thrift store for $9 for a Gloria Vanderbilt t-shirt, it's going to end up in the landfill. It's going to end up in the bins. It's going to end up in places where someone's probably not going to appreciate it. So doing those kind of things like offering these items for substantially less is going to help you flourish while maintaining the growth in your business. Like a lot of these items that are hanging on the racks are $2, $3, $4. Where if I took you to the local St. Vincent's, there's price tags $34, $32, and then you look at the tag and you're like, oh, this is a Columbia fleece that doesn't even sell for $14, $18 on eBay. So just remember and keep that in mind. And I just say go with your ideas. So now, since you're trying to kind of grow in that direction, would people, would you oppose that, if someone reached out to you online, could you see doing some kind of curation of a wholesale box or maybe helping resellers get larger amounts of inventory, or how does that look? I mean, imagine you'd probably have to hire probably someone just to do that for you too.
Yeah, I could see it certainly getting there. I do already have a couple of people that I'm working with, and they tend to be in areas where thrift shops are actually even just kind of hard to come by. So being able to provide them with consistent supply is really really important. And yeah, I would love to expand that side of the business, and I'll definitely hire somebody if it comes down to it, to be able to do that. Typically, I would say the average box is about 30 to 35 pounds, and it usually is somewhere in the ballpark of about maybe 50 to 60 pieces, depending on the size. And I pretty much, there's a nuance to it just a little bit, but on average, I'm looking at about $1.50. Maybe $2, if it's like a puffer vest or something like that, So I will, a couple of the items might be a bit more, but that was, actually one of the things that I was doing when I went on my little vacation here is, I went to Hawaii and I went to many of the clothing stores that are there and just checked in with them to see what it is that they needed. And just in doing that, I picked up at least two shops that have told me this is what I'm looking for.
Huh.
And like one shop is specifically she just wants like vests
Yeah.
of any variety because it's
Yeah.
too hot. It's
For
too
sure.
hot to have sleeves in
Yeah.
Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, if you can send me a box of vests, that would be great because they can't get them there.
Yeah.
So it's all about finding that solution to the
Yeah.
problem. And so, yeah. So if please do reach out to me, and I always try to be really, really quick to jump in there and answer your questions. Sometimes that first box can take a little bit of working on it, just because I would like to make sure that you're getting stuff that you're gonna really enjoy, and that you're not gonna open the box and go, oh gosh, what am I gonna do with all this now?
Corona.
Yeah, yeah, it's all Morona. I want to make sure that you are making,
Getting what you.
making a good purchase. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so definitely reach out.
Yeah, you can get a hold of him probably best on Instagram and
Instagram's great.
yep.
Ghost Town Outfitters it's just at Ghost Town Outfitters, and we are on Google as well now. So if you just search Ghost Town Outfitters, my phone number and address and everything's gonna pop up on your search engine.
Cool. Yeah, so we just made a purchase today. What did we buy? And maybe we should go show them. Crack open the truck, and I don't know. It's all this Gloria Vanderbilt vintage,
Yeah, it's
single
really,
stitch,
really nice.
and I don't know if we could show
Old
you.
navy fleeces.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well, yeah.
they're pretty cool. So I guess maybe we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it. Just
Don't tell anybody. No.
because we're kind of giving you
Yeah.
sort of the back end.
The source is on 7-3 Fake Street.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the back of the house.
So let's go check it out.
This is where all the magic happens. No drooling. So this is kind of what it looks like in its most raw form here. This is the pseudo lasagna of clothing that we have here. But I'm already excited about this bale, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm seeing some old puffer vests. I'm seeing maybe a little bit over here that looks like kind of a vintage jacket. We got some old script on there. That looks pretty promising. Now, if we kind of come up and around here, this right here happens to be a Carhartt zipper. It's a brass one with a blanket line on the inside of it, and that baby right there might be a hot little commodity. Get in there.
Nice.
Gorgeous. Yeah. So you can kind of come along the top here. I like to kind of always skim and scan a little bit. We got some leather poking out right here. I always like to see if maybe we got some, I don't know, old tags. Who we got here? Karen Stevens. This is probably going to be some Ducks gear of some variety, I bet. See maybe an old T-shirt right here, which is cool. And yeah, so seeing plenty of Target kids clothes. Yeah, plenty for everyone.
Yep.
And more Reese's.
Reese's. Very cool.
Yeah, man.
That's the good one.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Sweet. So, if you guys want to know what else is selling in my eBay store and kind of the things that I'm looking to pick up on a daily basis, weekly basis, check out this video right here, and you get to find out what items I'm picking up. I love y'all, and have a blessed rest of the day.